City Board of Education regular meeting. Mr. Sherhart, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hasrouni.
Here.
Ms. Krall.
Here.
Mr. Slattery.
Here.
Ms. Bartzcak.
Here.
Mr. Neale.
Here. Introduce the pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next business is comments from visitors. In order for the board to fulfill its obligation to complete the planned agenda in an effective and efficient fashion, a maximum of 30 minutes for public participation as it pertains to school-related topics will be permitted at each meeting. Each person wishing to address the board will approach the podium, state his, her name, and address. If several people wish to speak, each person will be allotted 3 minutes till the total time of 30 minutes is used. During that period, no person may speak twice until all who desire to speak have had the opportunity to do so. Period of public participation may be extended by a vote of majority of the board. Anyone? No takers. We're going to go on to Superintendent report. Dr. Krall.
Good evening, Mr. Neale, Board of Education. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the administrative team. One of our themes this year is kind of telling our story, and I think it fits well in terms of looking at our academic and programming from our test scores to programming that we have going on here in the district. And so Mr. Lees and the administrative team are going to take a little bit of time today to go over kind of the 22-23 results of our state report card, but also take a look at some of the academic programming and the initiatives kind of surrounding things that are defining and informing our work this year. And I will say that, you know, I look at these results, and our programming is that snippet in terms of how do we get better from day to day for our kids. And I think that really needs to be said, that everything we do, we're not satisfied in terms of the results with our kids, and we use this as an opportunity to look at data, to grow, and to get better for our kids. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Lees and the administrative team.
Thank you, Dr. Clares. So, just like what Dr. Clares was talking about, we're looking at some of our celebrations tonight, and then some of the areas that we need to focus on so that we can continue growth for our students and help them get to where they want to be when they leave us. So, I think in order to do this, it's really important that we look at our demographics. This is the makeup of the students that are in our district. And you can see we have district percentages, we have high school percentages, and we have our elementary building. And you can see based on this is one of our areas that we want to celebrate. This is definitely a diverse community. And so that is something we're very proud of. And so I think that this just gives, when I come back or any part in the slideshow when we talk demographics, these are the types of demographics that we're talking about. What's great is we have a preschool. So we get to grow our students all the way from preschool through the time that they graduate from us in high school. And so some of the areas that we look at, so pre-K through 3, there's a big focus on that early literacy. We keep making progress, we're trying to close gaps, and our goal is to give our students options when they leave here as 12th graders, that they have options to go to college. They have an option to choose whatever career they want. They could go into the workforce, they could go into the military, but every student that leaves Brooklyn City Schools should have an option of any of those 4 things that they choose to do. But that's our goal. We have to close gaps, we have to make progress, and we have to continue increasing our achievement. So this is our telling our story. This is a summary of our overall ratings. So when you see our report card, these are the overall ratings. I think it's important to point out how the overall rating is determined. And there are 5 components. You'll see 6 components on the report card, but you'll see one of those is report only. It's not reported this year. But there are 6 components: achievement, progress, early literacy, graduation, and gap closing. All of those make up an overall rating. So the state has formulas, and they're the ones who help determine what that overall rating number is. Overall rating is new this year. We've moved away from letter grades to stars. Okay, and so last year we did not have an overall rating, this year we do. It's important, I think, before we move into the overall rating, to understand that there are categories for that. It's either you've exceeded, you've met, or you need extra support. So depending on what star level you're at, those are the rating descriptors. Brooklyn City Schools, overall as a district, we were a 4-star overall rating, which means we exceeded state standards. Brooklyn School, that's our pre-K 7 building, was 3.5 stars, which means we met state standards. Our high school was 4.5 stars, which means we exceeded state standards. So you get district report and you get each building report. This is an interesting graph. It's the overall rating distribution. I think the important thing to look at here is if we're talking about our overall rating for our district, we were a 4. It's the very light blue where it says 4 stars. It's the one on the left. We were 25% of school districts in the state of Ohio were ranked a 4. When you look at that, and then you can look at schools as the category next to it, so you can compare where our 2 other buildings were. But what's nice about this distribution is you can see we are in the higher half of the state compared to other districts in the whole state of Ohio. This is a comparison of districts around us locally. And this is their ratings. So we have Brooklyn at a 4, and you can kind of look at this slide and see where we compare. What's interesting on this slide, I'll point out, is Sheffield, Lake, and Wickliffe. The state of Ohio puts out something called a similar district, which means the demographics look similar, obviously not the same, but they're similar in nature. Sheffield, Lake, and Wickliffe were 2 of the 20 that showed up on our list from ODE. So I thought I would add those to the slide so we can see how we compare to similar districts to us. And 607 districts reported. I think that, you'll see that reporting number on future slides so you can see how many reported out. We ranked 276 out of the 607 districts reporting, our overall district rating. So out of 607 districts, we were 276. And you can see some comparisons to other districts around us. This is our high school. This is our overall high school rating, which was a 4.5. And you can see how we compare to some of the other districts that are near us. And now we're going to move into the categories of our strategic plan. We have 5 pillars, so you're going to see all 5 pillars tonight. I think it's important to note as we go through the presentation, the admin team will be coming up. We will take questions at the very end. So if you have questions, we will allot time for questions at the end of the presentation. Academic achievement and growth is our number 1 pillar. This year we looked at a lot of information and we came up with 3 goals. One of them was chronic absenteeism. We can't do well if we can't expect achievement and growth if our students aren't in school, so that's really important to us. We have K-3 early literacy, and we want to improve our math achievement. And as we go through this presentation, you'll see some of those as focus areas that pop up for us. Telling our story in achievement. Achievement is how well students did. How well did they do? And what that means, and I'll show you some categories here in a minute, please just kind of remember it's proficient or higher. That's what the categories, proficient or higher, is what the state sets. These are the tests that count towards achievement on the actual report card, so you can take a look to see what counts for achievement for us. We met state standards. So not only do we get an overall rating on our district report card, but they rate each category. We get a star rating for each category. We received 3 stars in achievement, which means we met the state standard. You can compare 21-22 to 22-23. In almost every category, so this is where I was talking about the different achievement levels. We want our kids proficient or higher. We really, and as we move through, and you're going to see that one of the next slides coming up here soon is progress. Our goal, we are calling it leveling up. We're not going to be satisfied with just students staying in proficient. How do we move them to accomplished? How do we get them to advanced? That will increase our achievement scores. The more kids you have in those higher categories, you get a higher percentage point. And that's how we will increase. That's what we need to do to improve this percentage. And we'll go into a little bit on how we plan on doing that. Right here it is, how we plan to level up. So when we talk level up, that's moving kids out of categories and moving them into new categories. We are doing a lot of focused team meetings to improve our student achievement. We're working a lot on vertical and horizontal alignment. We're looking at data. We hold something called teacher-based team meetings. And so all of these kind of interconnect. We want to give effective feedback to our teachers. So when our administration goes in and does evaluation or instructional rounds, they're providing good feedback to teachers on the instruction that's occurring in the classroom. We have started we have a literacy plan, and we are working on improving that early literacy. And we want to continue, we started that in K-3, we want to now continue, what does that look like for our kids in grades 4 through 12? And that's how we're assessing kids, that's what instruction we're providing, and when a kid needs intervention, what are we doing for those kids? That's what this continued literacy plan framework is. We also need to increase our math focus. We've worked really hard on literacy since the pandemic. We've created a math implementation team who, they're teachers across the district in all levels of math, and we put together a team and we're talking about what's our instruction, what's our assessments, what are our interventions, what resources are we using, and that's how we hope to help improve our math focus. So that was one category, one component, I don't want to call it category, that was one component of the report card. The second one is telling our story in progress. Progress is how well did students grow? They might not have hit achievement, but how well are they growing? How well are we moving them out of those categories and moving them up? And are we hitting those numbers? This is 2 years, so last year we started fresh, it was a 1-year progress. This year we're on year 2. Next year they go 3 years, they combine 3 years. A little complicated, just know that this is 2-year progress. We ranked 56 out of 607 districts in the state. We are making progress with our students. We are growing our students from point A to point B significantly. This report breaks down, you can see we have a 5-star up here in the corner. We are significantly increasing our students by large measures. The key here, obviously, if we were saying we have some areas we can definitely celebrate, but we also have some areas that are in red that we want to take a look at. And how we're going to plan on leveling those up is very similar to achievement. It is. You're looking at data, you're holding your bi-monthly TBTs, those teacher-based teams, and I think an important thing for growth is progress monitoring. How do we know where our students are? We provide them some instruction, and then we have to find out again where they're at so we know where to go with them. So those are the areas of how we plan to level up our students in progress.
Thank you, Lisa. So the next component of telling our story, excuse me, is early literacy. So when we just talk about early literacy, we're talking about multiple pieces. And in fact, we're talking about 3. We're talking about proficiency in 3rd grade reading. We're talking about promotion to 4th grade, so which students are moving, or how many students are moving from 3rd grade to 4th grade. And then we're talking about improving K-3 literacy. And when we talk about improving K-3 literacy, we'll jump a little bit deeper into what that looks like for us in Brooklyn. But that really includes what literacy looks like for kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and third grade, not just the third grade test. So all those grades are kind of that building block that leads into that K through literacy. So for us, in 21-22, we're a 2-star. In 22-23, we continue to be a 2-star, but Lisa mentioned progress. I want to point out the amount of growth that we've had and how that 2-star looks a little bit different. Lisa mentioned earlier that everything above a 70% is a 3-star. So we went from 59.5% to 67.6%. The state doesn't round up, so we're about 4/10 away from that next star, that 3-star. So we're happy with our progress. However, as a staff, we want to be a little bit greedy, right? We don't want to just sit at where we are. We want to continue to improve. We want to continue to grow our students and continue to grow our staff. And as you see below, those are the different components that go into that early literacy component.
Mr. Malone, can I just point out to go back real quick, the growth from last year to this year was what percentage?
It's about 8%. Yep. About 8% from last year to this year. So, looking a little bit deeper, looking at a comparison over multiple years. When we started in 18-19, about 22.9%. We'll remember, of course, that 19-20 and 2021 were affected by the pandemic in different ways. So we see where we were at 13.7 and 8.4. Coming out of that, in 21-22, 11.4%. And then we're starting to see a lot of our work start to kick in that we've been putting in with our teachers and with our students, and we're starting to really grow again. And that 22-23, we're at that 45.3%. And as you see at the top, our projection for next year is very high 70s and that 79%. So again, we've been putting in a lot of work. We've been really pushing our staff, and our staff has really been pushing our students, and we're really trying to continue that momentum and continue that growth up, not be satisfied there. That may be the competitor in me as a former coach, but we really want to keep that growth going and keep our momentum. So this chart, this slide just shows a local comparison. So you see us at the top with 67.6%, and then you can see some of the other districts around us and how they compare.
I just want to, it's just the one. Thanks. So while we talk about early literacy affecting K-3, we also keep in mind that here in Brooklyn, we start early literacy at preschool. And so what we did was look at data from 22-23, and we had 61 students take the third grade OST. 40 of them were proficient, and of those 40, 35% of those students attended our preschool. And then of the 21 students who were not proficient, 85% did not attend our preschool. So it really speaks to the work that we're doing here early on in our preschool when it comes to literacy.
And so, how are we leveling up, right? What's our plan? This is our work. So this is what we're doing, or part of what we're doing to grow our students and grow our staff. We want to increase third grade proficiency, so we're using data for small group instruction, meaning our staff is analyzing data, using the data, we're teaching them what data to use and how to look at that data, and then they're using that to zone in on what our students need. We're using our bi-monthly TBT, and she mentioned earlier our quarterly horizontal meetings. Again, another way for us to really look at our data and talk specifically about what our individual students need, not just look at the big picture of what our grade level needs. And then we want to, of course, increase our improving literacy score. And we're doing that through our tiers instruction, so how we deliver instruction and how we intervene with students, and then providing professional development for our teachers in the science of reading. Of course, we want them to be masters in teaching that reading, so we're going to help them get there.
Thank you, Mr. Bull. All right. Now, this is one that I know our families emphasize quite a bit. Obviously, we understand that a child needs to graduate from high school, have that diploma before they can move on to the next phase. What I like about this district is we still consider this just a phase as part of the child and the honor that we owe that child throughout their process, even as they move on. So looking though first at graduation, how do we determine where these numbers come from? So the graduation measure is a combination of a 4-year graduation rate as well as a 5-year graduation rate. And they add those numbers together and they weight them out appropriately, and that's what gives us our graduation measure. You guys are going to see here on the next slide, we're doing quite well here. So our weighted graduation rate overall for both 4 and 5 years is going to be 94.5%. The 4-year graduation that we had in 2022 was at 92%, which puts us, as you guys can see in the bottom left there, exceeds state standards. We earned 4 stars on that piece alone. What I really, really like is the 5-year graduation rate, because you guys can see we bumped that up to 98.2%. And what I loved about that is 2 things. That meant the child did not give up just because they didn't graduate with their peers. I think that's really important to understand. And the school did not give up just because they didn't graduate with their peers, which is another thing I want us to focus on. And because we kept that focus going, we see that we actually exceeded state standards and we earned 5 out of 5 stars on that piece. Here's how we compared with some of the districts, as we pointed out before. We've seen these kinds of tables before. Here's how we compared, and I think there's plenty of room for improvement in this space. And then what is our plan to level up? It starts first and foremost with good teaching. How are we preparing our students for the tested subject areas? We've done quite well since returning from the pandemic, but how do we continue to make that better? Also, how are we providing for those students who may not necessarily test as well or have less of a clear plan following graduation? And that really helps us out with the BCCA, the Brooklyn Careers Connections Academy. It's also identifying those students that are going to need greater amounts of support throughout their high school career and providing them with interventions early on so that they're getting the help they need. And then continuing to maintain our positive relationship with Polaris, because we know how important that is for a lot of our students to be able to earn their diploma and also have their post-graduation success plan created.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. We are now moving on to gap closing, as you saw in one of the earlier slides. What is gap closing? It is measuring and seeing how we are growing our students in those subgroups or those demographics that Dr. Caleres talked about. And so how are we growing all of those students? And just so you know that we have to have 15 students in each subgroup for that to be counted for the state. So that is an important component. And then also the rating comes from points earned versus points possible. So there are many, many indicators or measures, and I'm going to tell you that there are 6 of them that we kind of look at, and those are, how are our students performing? Are students in those different subgroups, in those different demographics performing in the gifted indicator? How are they doing with chronic absenteeism? How are our English language learners? How are we growing them? How are we growing those subgroup students in graduation rates? And then English language arts achievement, and then also math achievement. So those are the components that really make up those measures for that gap closing indicator within those subgroups in those demographics. So if you take a look, I was talking about points possible. Our students, we earned in those categories, those are the points that we earned out of the possible points right at the end there. So we earned a total of 26 out of 67 points. We need to make some changes and we need to do a little bit better. So if you take a look at the 4 highlighted areas, the pink areas, those are the 4 areas that we are really honing down on for this upcoming year. Not that we're not focusing on others, but those are the ones that we're starting with. And those are the gifted performance. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're really, really honing in on our K-2 learners, and we're really selecting, identifying, and providing some expansion opportunities for those younger students and catching them early on. We're also providing a lot of collaboration with our gifted intervention specialists and our classroom teachers to really have them extend their lessons and units of instruction. We're working on our English learner population and really focusing on those explicit instructional strategies, focusing on a lot of visuals, and really SIOP strategies that are sheltered instruction observation protocol type.
We are also working on our ELA progress and our math progress, and we're doing that really by having data meetings with our teachers during TBT times. We're also having data meetings with our principals quarterly so that we can kind of take a look and check up on those demographics, those smaller subgroups periodically, and to progress monitor their growth. Not at the end, but just at every benchmark. We're off to our strategic plan, Pillar 2.
So Pillar 2 focuses on social emotional wellness. Prior to the pandemic, we may not have ever considered this as a focus in our pillars and our strategic plan, but unfortunately, as things progressed after and us trying to get back to what's normal, we've started, and really not just our district, I'm in a group of multiple districts who have started really paying attention to the numbers of kids who have been hospitalized for mental health treatment, the referrals for counseling services, and incidents of possession of tobacco products and vape. So we have continued to have a counselor who focuses on community outreach and mental health services and supports. We still have 3 Ohio Guidestone counselors on site daily. We've added a private therapist on site. We've increased to 3 therapy dogs, which really is a joy to watch, and it's fun to see the joy they bring to the kids and the staff, Dr. Clares. And then we have vaping awareness presentations being added this year for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grades. And now we have started a collaboration with Crossroads for drug cessation programming that will be done here on site, that will be available as group counseling, but also individual for kids who are really struggling and have that need. And unfortunately, that's where we're at, but we're addressing it the best we can.
Right, you guys heard me talk a little bit about the graduation piece, and I mentioned before that that's just one part in it. The next thing that we want to talk about is the career and the college readiness. So this is what we are really trying to do with our students, which is to make certain that graduation is just one of the feathers in their cap, and that when they leave us, they're just as prepared post-graduation as they were in order to accept their diploma. And you can see this comes through a variety of different ways, as we mentioned, Polaris and the Brooklyn Career Connections Academy, our Brooklyn Digital Learning Academy, which I'll discuss in a moment, and also the opportunities that we're providing for our students in a variety of ways. So you guys can see up here, this is how we do in terms of our college readiness. So you guys notice the advanced placement scores. So at the end of every single year, we have our students take their AP exam for the appropriate courses. Anything 3 or better can potentially earn them college credit. You guys can see in the green there that those are the areas where we've improved from last year to this year. What I think is really interesting to note about this is a couple years back, you would not have seen biology, chemistry, or US history. Those are all courses that we've added over the last couple of years since we've come back from the pandemic. Now, we've had some of those courses before and we brought them back, or we're introducing them for the first time. But what we're seeing is an increased number of students taking these AP courses and being successful on them as a result. Another thing that we want to make sure that we talked about, and you heard me mention interventions with regards to our students, BDLA offers this opportunity for our students to both earn credits that they may not have passed the first time around or earn credits for the first time around. Regardless of how they enter into the program, the Brooklyn Digital Learning Academy, which takes place in this room here, really does provide our students with a unique opportunity in a variety of different learning styles. So as you guys can see up there, over 105 credits were earned, or rather were recovered last year, just alone. 98.5 credits were actually earned for the very first time, meaning these were kids who maybe didn't experience success in the classroom, but were now taking courses on the computer, and they were doing so on the first time and passing them. So that's over 200 credits earned that our students were able to compile just last year alone, which is outstanding, and a testament to the folks that run that program.
And along with that, you may recall last year, maybe your semester 2, we launched our Brooklyn Career Connections Academy, and that was established for those students who, may not know what they want to do after graduation. These are non-Polaris schools, and these were students who really didn't know if they were entering the military or going to a college. So we created this so that students could really develop some of their workforce skills and get exposed to opportunities, some career opportunities with varying pathways. So last year, we had 21 students there, and 19 of our BCCA students earned both a 12-point credential and a state seal, Ohio means job seal. I'll move on to this year and let you know what we have this year. So this year, what's our plan to level up? We're changing it up a little bit because we are now offering BCCA for the full year instead of a semester, just to capture those students right away from the beginning and provide that consistency. We've really worked with our teachers to collaborate and come up with units of instruction that are really focused this year. We have Work Skills Wednesday, for example. We're having 2 guest speakers go in every month to talk to the students based on their interests and what they want to do and who they want to listen to. We also are focusing on our younger students and really developing those career advising plans for our younger students starting early to think about what they want to do and really hone in on their passions and talents. And then one other item, we're having each one of our 8th grade students this year have a one-on-one meeting with their guidance counselors, with our school counselors. We're calling them future consultation meetings so that they can have those discussions with each one of those students. Pillar 3.
So Pillar 3, to be honest, probably my favorite. One of the things I love the most about Brooklyn is if we host something, if we offer something, our families show up. And it's great that no matter what it is, whether it's academic-based, socially based, athletically based, our Brooklyn families support what we do. And we can't tell you how much we appreciate that. So I love engaging with our families. So many of these things you've seen, we really are making an effort, and we're opened up to even listen to more from our families. But we're trying to engage our families in ways that are meaningful to them, and ways that they can also contribute and give back. Things changed a little bit with COVID, but we've started opening our building back up. We're having more and more parent volunteers come in and be part of our classroom, part of field trips, part of activities. Of course, I enjoy welcoming our this year class of 2036, but our kindergartners at our community rally, our walks to school, walks with heroes, My Guy walks, all those things. We get great turnouts from our families. We had an artist or an author in this year that writes books for our dads. We had a couple of dads read to our students this year, some books about being a dad, which was fantastic. We loved. We have a partnership with the Cleveland Browns this year, Stay in the Game. We had Grant Delpit on campus. We had a student, Caleb, who got to run on the field and grab the tee after kickoff earlier this year. And then we had a group of students this past Sunday that got to see that great Browns win against the 49ers. But we had 5 students and families at that game participating, things that they earned by being good Hurricanes and showing up to school and part of our attendance program. So, and then of course we have our VIP dance that we started last year, and I was told by a couple parents if we didn't bring that back this year, I was gonna have some problems. So we will definitely be having that dance. But we had a great group of parents that helped us plan that helped decorate, that helped organize and be a big part of the planning for that. So again, we're looking for more ways to meaningfully engage parents. But again, everything we do, our parents show up, and we appreciate that, and that does mean a lot to us.
Absolutely. I'm just going to continue the good vibes going that Mr. Boland put out there. So up here you guys see a handful of pictures, and I love these ones. These are fantastic. So we have an opportunity for our senior parents to come in and provide things like their luncheons for those students, which we just hosted not that long ago, and that was a really good environment. You guys see some pictures from the community rally, which I think is a really important opportunity for us to celebrate at the start of the year. You see some community service outreach that we would like to continue doing with our, for example, the senior center and things like that as we assisted in raking leaves. Again, that's some of our parents providing some opportunities for our students to eat as they do their graduation performance. or I'm sorry, their graduation rehearsal. But just the important piece is that as we at the high school love to celebrate some of the bigger moments for some of our students. Obviously, we see the fans come out on Friday nights, and obviously through winter, we'll see them come out and support our Lady Canes and our boys basketball team as well. And these are great admirements for our students, but it's really important for us to celebrate the fact that our parents come out also when it's not necessarily something they get to always cheer for. So we had a wonderful turnout for our students. The senior information night on Thursday of last week, where we were able to discuss some of the big events coming up for our students. Same thing for the financial aid, but that's, I think, what some of our high school parents want at this point, is more information and more opportunities to interact with us, to ask questions and things like that. So that's going to be our goal moving forward, is to continue to provide that opportunity, to continue to provide those lines of communication for our families as they continue to ask questions about what does the next phase of their child's life look like.
So I think as we go through the presentation, we kind of absorb some of the data. I think a couple takeaways for me is the fact that we are showing growth, we are succeeding in some areas, but we also need to identify the areas that we're not growing as fast as we should be or could be. And I think one of the things that we've kind of challenged ourselves as the district admin team and the staff is to, if we're going to pick an area of growth, there needs to be data behind what we're doing, so that when we get to the end of this school year, we can correctly measure that this was our area of growth, and this is what we did to address that area. Now, I will say, we are not going to be able to address everything that needs to happen in one school year, right? And so I look at the data we have, I look at the growth that we have as more of it's a marathon, not necessarily a sprint. There are some areas that we have identified that have to be sprints, right? I think we've identified those, but the big piece for me and the message is, this is a district that we want our parents to be in. We want our parents and our families and our students to be confident in what we do, and the fact that we're going to prepare them for life after graduation. And I think the big piece is that it's a K through 12 process. We start that pathway in pre-K when they come to us, and it's that 13-year process of getting them ready for that post-secondary life. And so I'm very happy with the results. I do see some areas that we internally obviously have to look at, but from a standpoint of where Brooklyn is, we are making growth, we are achieving. That being said, it's not good enough, right? I love what Johnny said in terms of that competition piece. It's not good enough, and I think the fact that we know that it's not good enough drives some of the work we do. So I want to thank the admin team. They've done a great job in getting this data, collaborating with data, and really reflecting on the data, because it's important to say if we'll make sure we're able to measure our work at the end of the year. That being said, I want to again thank them. I want to thank you for listening, but I also want to open up the board if they have any questions for the admin team or myself regarding some things.
Anyone?
When do the therapy dogs come in? I think that was Paula.
Yeah, we have 3, so once a week, each of them chooses, so right now, 3 weeks a month. But we have one in training, a new one sibling to Gotham.
Okay, I would just like to come, I would like to be able to stop in and see that.
Yeah, I can,
If you could just email me if you know a date.
yep, I have the next one scheduled for next week.
Thank you. And Supriya, for the career connections, is there any, and I may have missed something there, any kind of like internships or shadowing programs or anything like that to kind of take it to the next level?
Yeah, so first semester, we focus on honing in and preparing them with work skills and getting in resumes and interviewing skills and mock interviews. And we're focusing on placing them in internships and shadowing experiences in second semester.
Excellent, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
No, go ahead, anybody else?
The preschool, the stats that you gave for the preschool were amazing, seeing that the Brooklyn kids that were going to preschool did better than those that did not go to Brooklyn preschool. From kindergarten to third grade, do you guys know where the gap is that we're not testing as well in third grade? Is it from kindergarten to first to second? Do we know where that gap's at, that we could kind of hone in on that and see if anything be focused on that?
That's a great question. Based on the data that we're looking at, it's pretty consistent. And so when we look at that improving early literacy, the goal is to close those gaps for those kids because it usually follows them year to year. So really building those interventions and developing the skills of our teachers and how they're providing that instruction to those kids, because we want to start seeing a decrease. It's been pretty, we are seeing some improvement because we went from that, you saw the trend.
Mm-hmm.
We are making some improvements there and getting students on track, but there's still work to do. But I don't think like what you're saying between grade level, I don't think we've seen anything there.
Krall, it's a good question. One of the challenges we also have in that K through 3 world, where and again, this is any school district, not just Brooklyn, we're teaching them to read, we're teaching them to write, but also they have to prepare to take those assessments on the computer. So not only do our teachers have to focus on those reading and writing skills and just all the work that goes into that, now when they get to third grade, we gotta make sure that they're able to understand the software, the programming, can they type, like all of those things are reflective. So I like the K through 3 literacy data because outside, it's not just that third grade test, it's the other components that show the work, what happens in K 1 and 2, but part of the challenge becomes some of the work of we gotta teach our 8, 9-year-olds, how to use a computer, how to type, and so that becomes a little bit complicated in terms of some of the work we do also.
So is there a plan to isolate some of the kids that are having troubles from when they get to the next grade and they go from first to second?
Yeah,
to
so-
isolate those kids so they can maybe catch up?
So we're required to do something that's called a RIMP. It's a Reading Improvement and Monitoring Plan, and so included in that RIMP is number of minutes for intervention. And so when we talk tiers of instruction, when I was using those terms, it's then talking about when we've identified at-risk kids, who's gonna service them, where are they gonna service them, how many minutes are they gonna service them, what materials are they using, how often are they gonna progress monitor. So we do have a plan for those kids.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Joe? Bonnie?
Do we have, I know like intervention, or do you have like star block? I know they used to call it, I think, when my kids were in elementary. Do you still do that every day?
We have ice block.
Okay, it's ice
K
block.
through 12.
Okay.
Every building has an ice block.
Okay, so every day they have intervention, which is no new.
No new instruction.
No new
I
instruction.
like that term. No new instruction.
We call it no
Did
new
you guys hear
instruction.
that? NNI.
Yeah, no new instruction, yeah, no new
I
instruction.
don't
instruction.
like no, I
get it, yeah,
Yes.
no new instruction, so every class is doing that.
Yes.
So then, with what Dr. Ted said, leading off of that, so is there are we having any kind of plans, or are we setting anything into place to start with our kindergartners, first graders, getting them on those computers, getting them on the Chromebooks, and getting them acclimated?
So our media specialist, Mrs. Smith, we actually purchased a typing program. So we're having her incorporate, so those kids in those early grades still go to the library. So typing is now becoming part of the curriculum that's getting taught out of the library, because all of our minutes, our teachers just, especially in that K3 with the dyslexia laws and all the things coming down, that time is really, we're putting in instruction. But the typing, we do have typing for them now.
And so one of the things that you may or may not know, all of those exams 3 through 12 are graded by AI. They're graded by the computer. There's no grading by individual people anymore. So that becomes some of the challenge in terms of making sure that our because if kids only have 2 or 3 sentences based on the computer programming, they're only gonna receive a certain score based on that. So
typing is one component,
Yeah.
but I think there's an expansion of our
Yes.
writing. And so when those teachers are preparing kids to take those Ohio State tests. And we're using, when you saw benchmark or you see CRS, that's the central reporting system, and that's what the state gives us to help us benchmark, checkpoint, using, questions from release test. We're using our horizontal and vertical meetings to have conversations about how we're doing that.
So are we having them do that weekly, that typing, or is it like, are we doing it?
That's a great question. I'll have to get back. I don't know, like, I don't have that
So-
answer for you right now. I don't want to give you the wrong answer, but I don't know how often they go to library, weekly?
Weekly. So then, when they're in the library, do they sign on to their Chromebooks? I'm assuming they're Chromebooks. Are they Chromebooks or, yeah, so they sign on to them, so then that will help them with, when it comes to the testing, yeah. So help them-
they're
Help them
absolutely,
get
they're being.
acclimated to it and get used to like the
Yes.
Chromebooks and
And then to
stuff.
build on it, our teachers use, whether it's IXL, which
Yes,
goes pretty
yeah.
in line
Mhm,
with math,
IXL,
right?
yeah.
Our teachers use those programs in the classroom
Mhm.
because it's part of that practice. Not just the typing piece, but can I navigate the tools online?
Yes.
Can I learn how to use a ruler online? Can I highlight online? So the kids, even in kindergarten, because they have online tests, they're learning all of those skills even beyond typing.
For all the parents, IXL, can you explain that to them? Because I
So
know, like,
IXL is-
you guys love acronyms.
Yeah, it's an online program that our teachers could use, but it creates specific
Individual.
interventions for each kid. So what I'm working on is prescribed for me, and my deficits versus the student next to me is prescribed for them. So it's how our teachers could provide that extra help for students specific to them, as opposed to just the classroom.
I love it. I love IXL. IXL, I think, has a lot of value to it. It offers, I like the fact that it goes at each child's level. So I personally like that. So we are like starting to work towards those with the test. We are starting to,
So I was
like,
gonna-
getting them all.
So I was gonna add
yeah.
to, in addition to Wendy in her elective courses, specials, teachers are starting to incorporate that into how they assess students within the class.
Okay.
So Mrs. Cannon in second grade is starting second quarter, third quarter, working with kids. Okay, guys, we're gonna do this writing prompt. Instead of you writing it, let's put it on the computer, share the Google Doc with Mrs. Cannon. So they're starting some of that work now, and that's happening all throughout. And again, it looks different for the different grade levels, in their exposure, but as they creep closer to third grade, it becomes more of what they do, more of how they do business within the classroom.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do they each have their own cart or set of Chromebooks, or do they can they move it from classroom to classroom in the lower grades, or does each classroom have their own?
Every classroom has their own.
Yeah, we're one-to-one.
Everyone has,
We're
everyone.
one-to-one.
Yeah,
We're one-to-one.
Yeah, that's what we went for years ago. So
Some grade levels, the teachers, they keep them in the class, some grade levels take them home. But every student, we don't have to worry about sharing. Every student has their own Chromebook.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's good learning. I think we're going in the right direction. It looks that way to me. Just keep up the good work. Do appreciate it.
Thank you. And again, this will be posted on board docs. So if anybody from the community watches this and has any questions, you can just email me a question. There's a Ask Dr. Caleres email, or Ted.Caleres, my email address. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Neale.
Good job. Thank you. Appreciate it. We're going to go on to the treasurer's report. Mr. Shearhart.
Okay, I just have pretty much just a little short report. Just wanted to let the board know that we have received the first half real estate tax payments. So that money has come in and has been deposited. Currently, we are at about 43% of the expected income for the year. We are currently at about 15% of the expenses for the year. The federal grants for 2023 have been completed. That has been sent to the state. Because they are a reimbursement grant, we have to pay the money out first, and then the state reimburse us for federal funds. So they're called FERs, Final Expenditure Reports. Those have been filed, so hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we will get the reimbursement from the state for those. On the flip side, the 24 grants, the money that has been spent out of those I have been able to do some of the cash requests for those, so we should have that money coming in. Those are basically the same grants, they're also reimbursement grants, but they're here for '24. So hopefully that money should be coming in. Let's see. I will be sending out an email for the 2 board members to meet with the Finance Committee. The 5-year forecast will be due in November, so I will be meeting with them to go over the 5-year forecast, and I will be bringing it to the board at the November meeting to share that with you before it's uploaded to the state. And that is all I have right now.
Thank you.
Excuse me,
Go ahead.
Mr. Neale, Rob, are we still gonna do the presentation to the board on November 7th in the work session, the 5-year forecast?
Yes.
Okay, just wanna make sure. Okay.
Okay, we're going to comments from board members, committee reports. The first one is going to be Mr. Slattery.
Thank you. The rec board was canceled due to another scheduling conflict. There's all kinds of meetings going on right now, so they'll reschedule that. Facilities, we've heard Dr. Ted give a very detailed report of what's going on around the district. And then tonight with the administration team giving the PowerPoint on the curriculum, I think we have a really good idea of where we're going, and it looks very positive. So that is all I have tonight.
Mr. Slattery, just real quick, just from the facility standpoint, Sandy and I and Lisa meet with AVG on Thursday, where, we talked about previously, they're gonna have the updated assessment in terms of the facility. I'll have that information on Thursday. I will include it in our Friday update, and at some point, Rob, I'll probably ask for another facility committee meeting just to go over that, and then maybe what we can do is the December work session, which is right now TBD, to be determined. We can use that work session to kind of go over the nuts and bolts of that facility assessment that they've returned to me, and so we'll have a final picture of what that looks like going into the calendar year.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody else? Mr. Hasrouni.
Just a couple things that are going on with the school. All right, so tomorrow night, tomorrow all day, there's a fundraiser for Raising Cane's for, you'll get 15%. It's for the fundraiser for the Music Boosters from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. They're on Tiedemann, 5180 Tiedemann Road in Brooklyn. I'm not a fan, but I'll go anyways and get some chicken, sorry. And then,
take one for the team.
All right, and then Brooklyn Post-Prom Committee is going to have a Wing Deep fundraiser on November 4th, Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. At 5513 Pearl Road in Parma at Rookies. 50-50 raffle and some good food up there, so take a look at that. And then to the admin and everybody here, congratulations. I mean, that's an impressive improvement. Obviously, you guys, I love the fact that you're being transparent, that there is improvement to be made in some areas. And I know you guys are going to work hard on that, but congratulations how far you've gotten in the last couple of years. So good job on that.
Graham, I just got an email from Canes. They just canceled.
Oh, sorry. Forgot the cameras were open.
On to Ms. Krall.
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. When I asked why I joined the Domestic Abuse Commission, my answer is simple. It's personal for me. I want to spread awareness and be a resource and advocate for those that need help. Many years ago, my son and I were in a DV situation, and I struggled to find the help I needed, and fortunately for us, we survived. The same cannot be said for all victims. If you or someone you know needs help, the national hotline number is 1-800-799-SAFE, or text START to 88788. And then I would like to thank Dr. Claris for working with the Cobras. I'm excited that we could bring them back. Some of the on Facebook people, people were hoping, so I'm excited for that. And that ends my report.
All right, we're going to Mrs. Bartzcak.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to thank Dr. Caleres and your admin team. Thank you for the presentation. I've been on the board for over 14 years, and I have to say that is the best presentation about our state report card that I have seen in my time on the board. I like the fact that we know we need to level up, as you guys kept saying, that there is room for growth. I'm usually very critical of the state report card. I do realize that's what we are graded on, whether it's good, whether you agree with it or don't agree with it. It's what everyone, that's how we're judged, is by our state report card. So, thank you for the presentation, thank you for the transparency, thank you for being so open and honest with the fact that we do have some growth and things to do. I really appreciate it. You guys did a wonderful job, thank you so much. And I would like to say that if anyone would like to speak to me, I always can be reached at 216-406-4304, and that's all I have tonight.
All right, thank you. On to my report, and the only committee that I had was Polaris. Last Tuesday, wonderful dinner. Just so, it was good. They had an advisory dinner, and just so you know, Polaris there were 400 people at the awards dinner, and they gave away 4 awards. One of them was from a Brooklyn resident, Tracy Workman. Tracy Workman, I forget what the exact award was, but there was 206 companies that Polaris works with, and everybody was there. It was a wonderful dinner, a great place to be. Kids, I mean, it just can't say enough for Polaris. I mean, it's a wonderful addition to Brooklyn City Schools. I think it's well worth everybody's tax dollars, in my opinion. I was out there actually visiting the pre-veterinary clinic, which is almost done. When was I out there? Yesterday. And I think it was yesterday. And met with the classroom, and there's probably a half dozen kids from Brooklyn that are in that pre-veterinary class. And that's gonna be a wonderful thing as well, too. So I can't say enough about, our relationship with Polaris. I think it's a wonderful relationship, what we're doing with the BCCA. I think that's the acronyms you guys used in that last thing, right? I think it all blends together, and I think we're going all in the right direction, so kudos to everybody. And then the last thing with Polaris, they have a career expo. It isn't until May 15th and 16th of next year, but it's gonna be at the Cuyahoga County Fairgrounds. And they're gonna have 16 different national career clusters, and they'll probably add more to it. So there'll be more information. But there's gonna be a family career night, career expo, job fair, all along within that weekend, or whatever those dates are. I'm not sure if those are the weekends or not. But that's all I have. But I just wanna say, good job, administration, again. It was a wonderful presentation, and keep up the good work, and let's keep moving forward.
Did our board dinner invitations get lost in the mail this year, or?
It was solo. We're not till, that dinner is every other year. This one's just the advisory for all the.
With that, I've been stalking my mailbox.
Well, you know what, next time we have dinner, I'll drop off at to go box.
He called me and he's like, you invited me.
I did.
I'm like, what? I thought it went to spam or something. I'm like, I'm searching. I'm like, I didn't get the invite.
So I texted her, I called the superintendent, he goes, no superintendents, this is all the.
When do we vote on Rocky Spot on it again?
Right?
Well, we'll see. Anyway, it's a wonderful dinner. Those kids, that's amazing. We didn't even get to the culinary part of it, it's too good. Anyway, let's move on. We sit here and talk about Polaris and dinner all day long. But the bakery's even better, just so you guys know. We're gonna move on to approval of minutes, financial statements, and our reader tonight's gonna be Mr. Slattery.
Thank you. Resolved that the minutes of the Board of Education meeting be adopted, and all action taken by the Board of Education at said meeting is hereby reaffirmed and approved.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second? Yep. Questions, comments? Mr. Sheriff, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Slattery?
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni?
Yes.
Ms. Krall?
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak?
Yes.
Mr. Neale?
Yes.
Resolved, the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the financial statements of receipts and expenditures for the month of, we're looking at August?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Including all purchase orders and paid and then and now statements for the month as submitted.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second? I'll second it. Questions, comments? We'll add August, correct?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Sheriff, can you call the roll?
Mr. Slattery?
Yes.
Mr. Neale?
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni?
Yes.
Mrs. Krall?
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak?
Yes.
Resolved, Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the second reading and adoption of the following board policies as noted.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second? Questions, comments? Mr. Sheriff, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Slattery?
Yes.
Ms. Krall?
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni?
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak?
Yes.
Mr. Neale?
Yes.
Resolved, the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the HVAC controller automation agreement with Gardiner Engineering as attached. Agreement on file in the central office.
Can I have a motion, please?
So,
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Just real quick, this work will cover us, it'll update our system, bringing us under one controller system. Right now, we're currently on two, and we're having major issues with the one issue communicating to our HVAC systems. This will also help us prepare in case of the renovation. So any of this work will not be doubled as a result of the renovation.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Sheriff, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Slattery?
yes.
Mr. Hasrouni?
Yes.
Ms. Krall?
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak?
Yes.
Mr. Neale?
Yes.
Resolved, the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the attached maintenance agreement with Professional Roof Services for the 2023-2024 school year. Agreement on file in the central office.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second. I'll second it. Questions, comments? Mr. Sheriff, can you call the roll?
Mr. Slattery?
Yes.
Mr. Neale?
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni?
Yes.
Ms. Krall?
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak?
Yes.
Resolved, the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the attached agreement with EA Group for the abatement work associated with Brooklyn High School restroom renovation project paid through ESSER 3 funds. Agreement on file in the central office.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? Mr. Sheriff, can you call the roll?
Mr. Slattery?
Yes.
Ms. Krall?
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni?
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak?
Yes.
Mr. Neale?
Yes.
Resolved, Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby authorizes the superintendent to enter into an agreement with Inter-District Services Area Agreement with the Educational Services Center of Northeast Ohio per Ohio Revised Code 3313.843 for the 2023-2024 school year. Agreement on file in the central
Can I have a
office.
motion, please?
So moved.
Second, please. I'll second it. I'll second it. Questions, comments? Mr. Sheriff, can you call the roll?
Mr. Slattery?
Yes.
Mr. Neale?
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni?
Yes.
Ms. Krall?
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak?
Yes.
Resolved, the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the attached memorandum of understanding agreement between the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education and the Teamsters Local 436 for the newly created position of van driver non-CDL. This new classification shall be included within the current non-certified, non-licensed classification of transport personnel as identified in Article 2, Section 1 of the collective bargaining agreement as noted. Salary schedule and job descriptions are included as part of the memorandum of understanding.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? Mr. Sheriff, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Slattery?
Yes.
Ms. Krall?
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni?
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak?
Yes.
Mr. Neale?
Yes.
Resolved, the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education approves the attached memorandum of understanding between the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education and Dr. Alice Hoyt for the purpose of prescribing district stock EpiPens for the emergency student use as needed at no cost to the district on file in the Board of Education office.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second? Second. Questions, comments?
Just a quick description, so our policy aligns with us having emergency EpiPens in district. However, you have to have a prescriber to have the EpiPens. This agreement, this is through Allison Rose Foundation. Allison Rose Foundation was founded by a gentleman of the name of Mike Suey. He's a fire chief in the area. Lost his daughter to an anaphylactic shock several years ago. This is his foundation work. Mike has come in, done training for our staff, done training with our students. This is really, the bee sting that goes wrong. This is just allows us to have that one extra layer of protection for our students in case something happens. This is Manley. They're going to be in the nurse's office and main offices. Mrs. Manley will be working with, once we get them, she's already done training. Mike's already done training, but she's going to do specific training with the staff personnel who have these EpiPens in case something happens. 99% of the time, it's going to be Miss Manley administering something like that. We also want to make sure that our trainer has one. You come to an August pieces. We just want to, again, it's just that additional layer. Free cost, the Allison Rose Foundation provides the cost to supply these. We get them every year, but this will just allow us to have that partnership.
That would be, those cover any kind of like allergies, food allergies, not anything like that? So
Everything.
the lunch, anybody, cafeteria personnel?
We're gonna keep them in our office, we're gonna keep them in the offices and the nurse, the clinics. So both Terry's clinic and Nancy's clinic. Typically, if something happens, they're the first ones at the scene anyway, or the paramedics come, but again, just that additional layer.
Anybody else? Mr. Shurer, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Ms. Krall.
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni.
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak.
Yes.
Mr. Neale.
Yes.
Resolved, the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education approves the attached agreement between the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education and Crossroads Health to provide vape and drug cessation education intervention training paid through the district wellness grant funds. Agreement on file in Treasurer's Office.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Just a quick description, this is just one of the things that, coming out of the pandemic, we have seen an increase in vape use of our high school students. I don't think that's uncommon in I don't think that's just our school district, I think many school districts have this concern, and sometimes it's vape with THC, so this becomes a resource that our counselors, our administrators can offer to parents without penalty, without judgment, without discipline to help our kids that potentially are going down that road. So again, it's just another resource for our families.
Okay. Anybody else? Mr. Shurer, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni.
Yes.
Ms. Krall.
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak.
Yes.
Mr. Neale.
Yes.
Resolved, the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the attached agreement with the Ohio Attorney General for the purpose of conducting employee FBI, BCI background checks on site at the Brooklyn Board of Education Equipment, at the Board of Education. Equipment and service will be paid out of a security grant fund. Agreement on file in the central office.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
I'll second it. Questions, comments? Mr. Shurer, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Mr. Neale.
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni.
Yes.
Ms. Krall.
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak.
Yes.
Resolved, the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the employment of the following classified personnel for the 2023-2024 school year as noted.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second? Second. Questions, comments? Mr. Shurer, can you call the roll?
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
I'm sorry, who did this second?
Mr. Hasrouni?
Thank you. Mr. Hasrouni.
Yes.
Ms. Krall.
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak.
Yes.
Mr. Neale.
Yes.
Resolved, Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the following reassignment of the following classified personnel for the 2023-2024 school year, contingent on successful completion of the background check and credentialing, as noted.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
I'll second it. Questions, comments? Mr. Shurer, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Mr. Neale.
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni.
Yes.
Ms. Krall.
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak.
Yes.
Sorry.
Resolved, the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the following classified resignations, as noted.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Mr. Shurer, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hasrouni.
Yes.
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Ms. Krall.
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak.
Yes.
Mr. Neale.
Yes.
We flipped that just to get you out of
Thanks.
Resolved, the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby accepts with regret the retirement of Mary Ellen Sefcik, effective end of the day 12/31/23.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
I told her I was gonna vote no on this.
If I could vote no, I would.
Questions, comments, anybody else? Mr. Shurer, can you call the roll?
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Ms. Krall.
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni.
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak.
Yes.
Mr. Neale.
Yes.
Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby commends Mary Ellen Sefcik for her years of service to the students of Brooklyn.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Thank you, Mary Ellen.
Thank
And
you.
I don't think I've gone to any event that I haven't seen her at in the last, I won't make her feel old.
Anybody else? Mr. Shurer, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Slattery.
Yes.
Ms. Krall.
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni.
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak.
Yes.
Mr. Neale.
Yes.
Resolved, the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the following persons for the 2023-24 supplemental assignments with the provisions that such individuals comply with all Board of Education and or Ohio High School Athletic Association rules and regulations and State Department of Education regulations pertaining to proper certification, licensure, and first aid training and fulfills the requirements of the job descriptions attached to the supplemental contract as noted.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second? Questions, comments? Mr. Sherrod, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Slattery?
Yes.
Ms. Krall?
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni?
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak?
No.
Mr. Neale?
No.
Resolved, the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education hereby approves the following persons for the 23-24 supplemental assignments with the provisions that such individuals comply with all Board of Education, Ohio High School Athletic Association rules and regulations, and State Department of Education regulations pertaining to proper certification, licensure, and first aid training fulfills the requirements of the job descriptions attached to their supplemental contract as noted.
Can I have
So
a
moved.
motion? Second.
I'll second.
Second it. Questions, comments? Mr. Sherrod, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Bartzcak?
Yes.
Mr. Slattery?
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni?
Yes.
Ms. Krall?
Yes.
And Mr. Neale?
Abstain. First paragraph.
Now, this is treasurer stuff. Do you want me to read this, or is that?
Well, we need to vote
It's
on it.
recommendations.
Well, we need to vote on it.
Yes.
We need to vote on it.
Do we have to read the whole thing?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
resolve
right,
that first
there we go.
paragraph.
All right. Resolved that Brooklyn City School District Board of Education approves the following resolution designation, depositories of public monies of the Brooklyn School District as noted.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second? Questions, comments? Rob, anything on this?
Yeah, what this is this allows the district to deposit monies into Dollar Bank. The current agreement, it's a 5-year agreement. The past 5-year agreement is up November 20th. So I just wanted to bring this to the board to have it approved ahead of time. The other thing that I will be doing that's included with this is we're going to create open up a payroll account at Dollar Bank as well as the operating. It's just going to, right now, because everything is flowing through one account, it's difficult to find what's going in and going out and keep track of it. So by splitting it and having 2 accounts, it will be easier. So the transfers will go from one account to the other account, then everything will be paid out of the other account. It's gonna make it more clean.
So we're gonna write a check for $100,000, put it in there, and then all the payroll goes
Actually,
to
what I'll
that.
do is-
Whatever the number is, I know
Yeah,
it might be a little bit more than that.
Yeah, but
you know.
not even writing a check, I would
Yeah.
just, through online banking, move money from the operating account to the payroll account, and only specifically that amount
Payroll
for that
drawn
pay.
out of there.
Yes,
Got it.
and then the payroll will be paid out of there. The other institution that I'm adding on here is Star Ohio account. Currently, not even currently, I called Star Ohio, and Brooklyn City Schools has never had a Star Ohio account. What that is the money is deposited into the state, into this called Star Ohio, and they have a pool of
Investments?
well, what they do is they pull the money from all the different cities, counties, school districts, and they take that and they get more favorable interest rates with that. So what you try to do is they're usually ahead of the market. So what happens is when the market drops, they're still high with their interest rates. So what you do is you're kind of riding the waves. So then as the market comes back up, you take your money out of Star and put it back into the market. So that's a timing issue, and you can, it's better for your investments. Right now, Star Ohio is paying about 5.7% a year.
Do we have to lock in for the 12 months, or is that?
No,
okay.
it's the same as a savings or checking account. Put the money in, when you need it, you can pull it out anytime. No fees at all.
So it's not a money market CD, it's just
No.
a straight up account?
It's actually with the state.
Okay.
The state, and then they invest it in different vehicles that they have the ability to do. Because we are dealing with public money, I'm very limited on what I can invest in. So there's nothing like the stock market, it's very low risk.
No Bitcoin?
Yeah, no. So it kind of is, it's to the advantage to have a Star Ohio account. This, I was really surprised Brooklyn didn't never had one. So that's why I wanted to include that.
Good. Anything else?
I would like to.
Go ahead.
Mr. Shearer, I would like to thank you for all the, like, I see the changes and I notice all the things that you're doing and the areas that you're correcting and fixing. Thank you for everything you're doing. There's, I mean, it isn't, it's not going unnoticed. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Anybody else? And I think we need to vote on that, right?
Yes.
Yes, let's vote on it. Mr. Shearer, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Slattery?
Yes.
Ms. Krall?
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni?
Yes.
Ms. Bartzcak?
Yes.
Mr. Neale?
Yes.
Resolved, the Brooklyn City School District Board of Education, in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 3313.26, gratefully accepts the following donation of $1,250 from the Ohio High School Athletic Association Athletic Enrichment Fund to assist with the cost of equipment and uniforms.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second? I'll second it. Questions, comments? Thank you, whoever,
Very
OHSAA.
nice.
Appreciate it. Mr. Shearer, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Slattery?
Yes.
Mr. Neale?
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni?
Yes.
Ms. Krall?
Yes.
Just a paragraph.
Mrs. Bartzcak?
Yes.
Be it resolved by the Board of Education, Brooklyn City School District, County, Ohio approves a resolution declaring the necessity of submitting to the electors of the school district the question of an issuance of a school improvement bond in the aggregate principal amount of $20 million pursuant to section 133.18 of the revised code as noted.
Can I have a-
Second reading on file in the treasurer's office.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? Mr. Shearer, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Slattery?
Yes.
Ms. Krall?
Yes.
Mr. Hasrouni?
Yes.
Mrs. Bartzcak?
Yes.
Mr. Neale?
Yes. Okay, is there any other business? Any dates, times, anything we need to discuss? No? Announcement of next meeting of the Board of Education is going to be Tuesday, November 7th, 2023. Treasurer's Office, Conference Room 9200 Bidall, Brooklyn, Ohio, 6 p.m. Can I have a motion for adjournment, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second? Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, I got that email, thank you.